Why being broke is a blessing in disguise. Most of my life, I've been poor. Most of my life. I don't want to go too deep into details because then it'll be about me, but most of my life, I've been poor. Okay, so I know what I'm talking about. I know how it feels to be poor. I know how it feels to be broke. I know how it feels to not be able to afford things that you want, to struggle. I've known that my entire life since birth. Um, and at my age now, I'm in my early 40s now, okay? I look at it as one of the best things that's ever happened to me, in a sense, in a great sense. It's probably more so the best thing that's ever happened to me as opposed to struggling. Struggling's not fun, but a lot of it is mindset. A lot of it is, who you are, what comes out at the other end, how you let it shape you. Money is a tough one for everybody. The Bible says money is a root of all evil, not the root of all evil, but a root of all evil. Meaning there's lots of roots of evil. But money is mammon. Mammon is self-gain. It's something that was not initially, when God created mankind, this is according to the Bible. You can believe the Bible or not. But when God created mankind, he wanted to provide for man. So he gave man everything he wanted, right? Money is something that came in later. Money is something that came in after the fall of man, after man fell away from God and then needed protection from the elements. So man fell away from God's protection. And then cities came about, and then men started to band together and create commerce and all this kind of stuff, right? So it's something that's really evil in its foundation, right? And it stumps a lot of people. It stumps a lot of people because a lot of people are like, oh, I don't understand why we have to have money, and so they become socialist minded, they become communist minded, things like that, which is understandable in a sense, right? And I don't want to go off onto a tangent about political and that, but it's understandable, right? It's understandable why people would want to do away with money. But because we're living in this world, and it is the way that it is. So to save an argument about what's the right way, what's the best, the best method, the best thing, right? Forget about all that. We are what we are. Let's live in reality. Reality is money runs the world, right? Money is king, always. Cash is king, right? So this is why I say that money is a blessing, because or excuse me, not having money is a blessing, because it shows you not only who you are and the real you, it shows you who other people are, and it shows you how people operate, and it shows you who your real friends are. It shows you who, a real girlfriend might be. It shows you who a real wife might be. It shows you who your real family is. When you don't have money. When you do have money, oh yeah, the world's your oyster. Everybody loves you. You got all kinds of friends, girls coming at you, da da da. And this is what people get twisted, is they think, well, that's what I want, because that's going to get me all the love. It's going to get me all the attention. It's going to get me the women. It's going to get me all the things that I want. Therefore, all that equates to happiness. Maybe, or maybe it doesn't, right? Maybe you just start to realize the more things you have, the more fair weather friends, the more phony relationships you have, that everything is empty, right? If if you survive, because a lot of times people turn to drugs, or they turn to vices, or they turn to some sort of addiction, or they just want more and more money, or they just, you know so it's a slippery slope, and it's a dangerous thing. And I'm not saying it can't be good. sure, money can get you a vacation where you can recharge your batteries and just take away years of stress. It can get you a massage every week, which can improve your health. It can get you, a trainer, which can improve your physical fitness. It can get you high quality food and get you good quality transportation. You don't have to worry about that. Sure, yes, money can equal, you know, a better life. That is true, right? But I say it's a blessing to not have money. I say it's a blessing to be poor in a sense. It depends. It depends because you could be poor, and if you have the wrong mindset, you know, and of course you have to define poor. There's different levels of poor. There's a different spectrum of what poverty is. Some people are just so poor they can't even afford a piece of bread. Some people are technically poor, but they can afford necessities, or they can, get little things here and there, right? So I would say that I haven't been in abject poverty in my entire life. I haven't been to where I've always had food on the table, thank God. I've always had clothes over my back, thank God. I've always been had room and board, thank God. You know, I look to God for my necessities. But technically I'm very poor when it comes to, and I've always been very poor when it comes to median income, when it comes to classes, social class, middle class, lower class, upper class. I'm very poor. I don't look at myself that way because I mean, I do and I don't. Like, I do technically on paper, I understand that, but I don't because I have nice things. I know how to have nice things, and I know how to have patience and to get the right thing and to find the right thing and to you know use money wisely. That's another thing that's another blessing that comes with being poor is you learn how to use your money wisely. Unless you get a bunch of money, and then you probably will make a lot of foolish decisions because people who are poor aren't used to knowing what to do with money. So once you start getting some money, you probably waste a lot, or you just make a lot of mistakes with money because it's easy to make mistakes with money once you start getting it, because you're just like, oh, I want that thing, or I should get this thing or that thing, and then you realize I shouldn't have got that thing. That was a bad purchase. Oh, I wasted this money. That thing was low quality, and then you realize once you start spending it, you're like, dang, this is difficult. Spending money and buying the right things is difficult. Saving money is difficult, but spending money is difficult too because you want to buy the right things. You want to make sure you're buying the right things, and you want to buy quality things. And you want to buy things that are going to last long, and you don't want to waste your money on frivolous things, right? But being poor can teach you how to manage your money. I've heard of NFL players who waste their millions and they end up being broke. I heard it's fairly common actually in professional sports because they don't know how to save, or they don't know how to live frugally. I like living frugally. I like living under the radar. I have no choice because I don't have the type of money to not live under the radar. But I like it because I like not being flashy. I like not drawing attention to myself. I like it when people think I'm poor, or think I'm just don't think anything about me because I want to be left alone. You know, it's stupid to buy a sports car. It's one of the dumbest things ever because all the attention's on you, and egotistical people think that that's cool. People who are not wise. It's a depreciating asset. So you learn how to be smarter. You don't need $100,000 car. You don't need $1 million car. Maybe you should get a $10,000 car. That it looks nice. It's under the radar. You know, it's nice to drive. It's safe. It's clean, and it's got a good engine, and that's all you need. You know, and that's something you learn when you mature. You're just like, you know what? I don't need all that crap. Who am I trying to impress? Am I trying to impress a woman who's gonna just be a loose woman and cheat on me or use me for my money, so you're drawing the wrong kind of attention, right? You don't need a car to get money, or excuse me, you don't need a car to get women. You don't really need money to get women either, necessarily. Although, yes, all women want money. It's at the core of their little selfish hearts. They all desire a man with money. It is what it is, right? It's their hypergamy, it's their nature, blah, blah, right? Okay. But if a woman really likes you, you don't need money. If a woman really likes you and you're charming and you're funny and you're got a good personality and you're positive, you can get a woman, and the type of woman that you want is the type of woman that you should be yourself around. That's the type of woman that you want, and you don't need money for that. A woman who requires money from her man is not a good woman. She's not a good she's not going to make a good girlfriend. She's not going to make a good wife, right? This isn't to say you don't got to support yourself. This isn't to say it's not good to have some extra money so you can go out to eat once or twice a month, or you can take a trip somewhere every once in a while, or you can go do this thing or go do that thing. Sure, you want that. You want a nice life. And part of having a nice life is having a little money. Fine. But that's not, you could have no money and she should stick with you. That's not what makes a relationship. And if she's got that in her heart, then she's not the one, man. Period. I would say that 100 times out of 100. Any woman who's putting a financial dollar amount on her love or her relationship in order for her to enter into a relationship with you is not a quality woman. That's why being poor is a blessing. It keeps you away from things that aren't meant for you. It keeps you away from, the hangers on, the leeches, the users. I don't think people should strive to be rich. I think people should make money, but make enough to where you're smart with it, make enough to where you're living comfortably and under the radar. Period. I would say the goal is to be clear-minded, be level-headed, be grounded in your environment, be grounded for who you are in your life, know who you are in your life, and enjoy your life, right? Whether that takes a lot of money or no money, however that works out. And I would say if you do say, hey, you know what, I want some things, I want some nicer clothes, or I want some nicer furniture, I want to live in a better home, etc., figure that out, but do it in a way that you're not trapped. Because some people can be trapped, and I've been here before, trapped in your desires and your ambitions, and to the point where it takes away your happiness of today because you're so worried about tomorrow. And this is what I love about the Bible. This is what I love about being a Christian, is that one of the things that really captured me when I was really young and I was suffering and I was trying to figure out my life was the verses where, Jesus was talking about cast all your anxiety on me. Take my yoke upon you because my burden is light. My burden is light and my yoke is easy, right? And really, that's a lot of it is just giving stuff up. A lot of it is like, you know what, I really don't need those new shoes, or you know what, I really don't need that nice car. You know what, I really don't need to live in a mansion. And this is why the Bible says money's a root of all evil. And I think there's another verse. I know there's another verse that says, I'm just trying to think about where it is, but it says that, I think it might be in the book of James. It says, somebody who desires to be rich in this life puts a big burden around his own neck or something like that and falls into many evils or something like that. And I think it's really true. And the Bible's not anti-money per se. The Bible's not, it is, but it isn't. Like, it depends. It depends, right? The Bible's really kind of like, the real core message of the Bible is like, You know, it's not that you don't necessarily strive to get money or want money per se. It's the intention. You know, like, what do you intend to do with the money? Are you going to go pursue lustful things? Are you going to go pursue worldly things, selfish things? Because then you're going to start sinning, and then you're going to become, unhappy. You're going to become miserable, right? A lot of peace and anti-anxiety and, you know, the release of burden comes when you let go of, like, your ambitions, when you let go of, and it sounds very zen, it sounds very like, you know, Confucianism or whatever, Eastern whatever, let go of your desires, but it's true. It's like, what does Jesus say? He says, drop everything and come follow me, and you'll find peace, and you'll find, you know, deny your soul, lose your soul life, and you'll find it. And it's an interesting paradox there. It's like, you think you're going to be happy when you have these things that you want. You think, like, oh, when I get this hot girl, or when I get this cool house or this cool car, then I'll be happy. But you're really not. You're trapped to those things. It's a weird thing. I don't know, because you don't want to mix up, something that might be for you. You might want a decent looking car, but it might not have to be the Ferrari, right? You might just have, okay, this is a cool looking car, but it's not a Ferrari. Like, it's nice looking, it's cool, I like it, it's me, But I would say the yardstick for everything is it from God? Does God give you the okay? You know, is it a gift from God? Is it a blessing from God? Right? If it's not, then it's like, it might just be another material possession, that you just have, and it isn't really bringing you any joy or peace or anything. It might at worst be a burden. It might at worst be a burden. Um, but yeah, I think it's a blessing, because everybody is very, I don't say everybody, but many people are very, very caught up in, their pursuits and their desires and their ambitions and the world. Someone once said that anxiety is the wheel that keeps the world moving. People are so caught up in their money, or their this and their that, and that's one thing that, when it comes to being a Christian, is that really, it was a burden off my chest. I was carrying all this anxiety around. What am I going to do about this? What am I going to do about that? And I want this cool thing and that cool thing. And yeah, I've got some cool things. I've got some cool shoes. I've got some cool watches. I've got a decent looking car. And I'm thankful in a sense for those things. But at the same time, like, I don't drive that much. I don't wear my clothes that much. I don't wear these cool shoes that much. It's like, my peace of mind is better than those things. My peace of mind is better than all my desires. I'm very desirous of going out and getting a girl, and to the point where, you know, I'm so caught up in it that I'm not enjoying my day. I'm not enjoying my life moment by moment. I think that's underrated. It's very underrated to enjoy your life moment by moment, and to not have any worries, to not have any. You're just like, you know what? I enjoy my life. I enjoy where I live. I enjoy my neighborhood. I like going out for walks. I like maybe talking to a neighbor. I like maybe, you know, petting a dog on, outside, or, and it's just these little things. They say stop and smell the flowers, right? Meaning, take account of the little things. So, many people are so caught up in, like, oh, my future, and I want to be rich, and I want to have this and that. And it's not that they can't get that. They might get it, but at what cost? A lot of people don't get it. A lot of people have all those dreams and desires, and they don't even reach them, and they still get their time and their focus sucked away by those desires, and they don't even reach them. How sad is that? Many people's dreams die inside of them. You know, so it's just like, what is it worth? Is it worth your peace of mind? Is it worth your time and your days? And it's just like, I don't listen to that stuff. I don't go on YouTube and listen to like motivation videos on how to get rich, and I don't follow any gurus, and like, get all that stuff away from me. Ugh, it's nasty. It doesn't do anything. It doesn't help you in any way. If you're gonna do something, at least do something pragmatic and like practical. Like, hey, I designed a company logo and I got a trademark. Cool. That's taking real steps, as opposed to listening to 5 hours of some motivational video of how to get you off your couch. Do something pragmatic, and if you can't, then don't worry about it. If you don't have a business idea, or if your business, most businesses fail. So you could be out here spinning your wheels, 5, 10 businesses, sinking $10,000, $20,000 down the drain into your businesses, and it's all just a loss, and you got nothing. I mean, there's plenty of people who've done that, and sometimes they strike it rich. Sometimes, on on the 10th try, their business works out and they become millionaires. Maybe. I'm not saying don't do that. I'm just saying calculate the cost. You know, is that what you really want? Is that what you really think you can get? Is that what you really can get? You know, I've had ambitions for businesses, but it might have turned out to be nothing. I've done a lot. I've put a lot of things in action in my life, a lot of different things, and they turned out to be nothing. I wasn't talented enough, or I wasn't good enough, or my business idea wasn't good enough, or I wasn't good looking enough, or I wasn't this or that, and it's just like, at a certain point, you're just like, you know what? I'm just going to give it all to God. If I'm poor, I'm poor. Fine. As long as I got food, food, and as long as I got, you know, shelter, and it is what it is, man. It's, some people go homeless, some people struggle, you know. But for me, I just trust God. It is what it is. But yeah, it reminds you of, or it tells you who people are. It really does. It tells you who people are, and it's a weird thing letting go of all that, because when you're young, you've got all these dreams, all these ambitions, all these hopes and dreams, and a lot of it is just, you realize it's kind of all, a lot of it's silly, a lot of it's frivolous, a lot of it's you can have good times in your life, you can be in good moods and be around good people and go out to eat at good places and go on a vacation or something, and yeah, money can accomplish that, for real. I do think that's true, and I think some people use their money for that, and I think that that improves your life a lot. I do think so, and that's okay, But also, some people just, you know, are so stuck in the grind. They're so, you need to let that go. Some people need to let it go. Some people, you know what? I don't care if I become rich. I don't care if I got enough money to do this or do that, or I don't care anymore. Like it, I just want to be happy, you know. Whether I'm just out walking in the sun or whether I'm reading a nice book, doesn't take much money to do that. And I can go out and talk to girls. I don't need money to go talk to have a nice conversation with a cute, with a cute woman, attractive woman. I don't need money to do that. If we got good chemistry, if we got good rapport, great. If not, oh well. I had a date maybe, uh, 2 months ago. This girl I met, took her to a pizza parlor. I only spent $15. I kind of broke my broke my rule. I don't take women out on the first date. I don't pay anything on the first date. It's not my thing. Um, Kind of broke my rule a little bit, and I had suspicions. I had red flags that she was just kind of a gold digger, or just kind of shallow. But I said, you know what? Eh, Maybe I'll just try this. So we went out to get pizza. Usually I say, all right, well, if you want to hang out, we can hang out. We can, you know, we can go for a walk, or we can go to the park, or that's usually what I do. But I haven't had a date in a while, so I figured, oh, you know what? I'll pick her up and we'll go get some pizza. So we went and did that. A couple days later, she texted me and was like trying to borrow $150, and I was just like, oh, okay. So that ended. After that, I said no, and she basically flaked off because she just trying to use me for money. And you know, when you leave that world, it's a there's kind of a peace. You find a peace when you're just like, I gotta get out of that grind. I gotta get out of that money. I don't want anything to do with it, man. You know, I'm not gonna be stuck in your little rat race. I'm not gonna be stuck in your little prism. You know, your little wage slavery shit. You know, I'd rather die. Fuck all that. No, thank you. You know, I trust in God. Whatever happens, happens. But it just, you know, I talk about this a lot, but I think about how many relationships and how many marriages and how many friendships would disappear if you take away money. You know, it's always hinged on money. Well, what does that mean? It means money is your God. Money is your foundation. Remove money and your woman would leave you, well, then she doesn't really love you. Remove money and your friends don't want to hang out with you anymore, well, then they're not really friends. Again, it's like, yeah, I get it. Money, you can go do stuff, it's fun, it's cool, great. But that's not what a real friendship is. That's not what a real relationship is. Yes, you know, money's involved in those things, but if they don't want to hang out with you when there's no money involved, well, then you don't really have a good friend. You don't really have a good woman. Period. The end. There's no other way around it. That's just what it is. So it's a blessing. It's a blessing to know where people are. And I've been a loner for a lot of years. The last friend I had was a couple years ago, and he was a good friend, and I didn't need money, and he kind of lectured me a couple times. He's like, oh, you know, you don't have money, and I'm always paying for stuff. But he was a good friend. I mean, he was paying for stuff sometimes, and then there was other times where I had money and I was paying. But point is you know, and even those times that he lectured me, it was kind of like, you know. But I understand that a lot of people are geared towards that. That's their way of thinking. Is like, oh, I need money, so they're just so used to that it's weird to them when people don't have money. And it might look bad, and they might be like, I don't know if I want to be around this person because they don't have money. Well, then leave. You know, cool. You know, and I commend him for not leaving. And he was a pretty good friend for all that, and he did a lot, and that's cool, and I respected that. I think ultimately, you know, I kind of ended the relationship in a way because spiritually speaking, we weren't compatible as friends because I'm a Christian, and sometimes I have friends who are too worldly, and it kind of comes in between my walk with God and my relationship with God. Because if there's you know, if you do have a walk with God, you do got to be careful who you're friends with. The Bible says, don't be unequally yoked with unbelievers, meaning, you know, watch who your friends are, because friends can drag you down the wrong path, put you in wrong environments. You got to be careful out there. It's a dark world, man. And I've learned that lesson a lot in my life because I've had a lot of friends who were worldly and ultimately somewhat dark in their likes and dislikes and their pursuits, and it didn't coincide with my Christian beliefs. And it took me a long time to figure that out as well. That, hey, I need to maintain my walk with God in a pure way. And if that means I'm alone, if that means I'm going solo, if that means it's just me and God, or me and my family, or my immediate family, or whatever, then fine. I don't have any friends right now. I really don't. I don't have a woman right now. I don't. I haven't had a woman in a couple years. The last girlfriend I had was about two years ago when we broke up. Had girlfriends before that, and none of them worked out. Barely. I don't think. I think I only had one that was a Christian, anyways, and it's like that's a big problem, man. It's a big problem, and I learned all my red pill stuff from that, from those bad experiences, and trust me, I've suffered from it. Suffered a lot from it. You're gonna suffer from it if you have, unrighteous relationships. You're gonna suffer, particularly if you're a Christian. It's a dark world, man. It really is. But anyway, yeah, it's good to live frugally, to live, you know, humbly. I like it. I do. It's problematic in that you can't afford some things. That's a problem. It's problematic in that you're limited. That's a problem. It would be nice to, I want to take a trip over here. You know what, I want to do this. I want to take a vacation. I want to go to Greece. I want to go to the beaches of Italy. I want to, buy a bunch of cologne. I want to buy nicer shoes. I want to, have a nicer, cleaner home. And do that. I need to get this thing and that thing. And I need to do that. You're limited. You're severely limited. You really are. But in a way, it's good. In a way, it's good because it's like teaches you patience. It gives you character. You know, you learn to be you learn to survive better in a way. You learn to be smarter in a way. Yeah, it sucks because sometimes you can make dumb mistakes and it really hurts you because it's like if you make a mistake and you got a lot of money, sometimes your money can just you know wash it over. Like, oh well, I lost $50, or oh well, I lost that money. Oh well, I got enough money. It's fine. You don't really care as much. But when you're poor and you lose money, you're like, dang it, I shouldn't have done that, or I made a mistake and I shouldn't have got that thing, or dang it, this thing broke and I need another one and it's hard for me to afford it. That's where being broke kind of sucks. It's like when you can't get the things that you want or need. But even still, it's like, hey, it is what it is. I always think of this Maya Angelou quote. I don't know if it's a quote or if it's a book title. It might be a book title. I used to read poetry a lot when I was younger. Maya Angelou, I read some of her works, but she had a book, I think it was called Wouldn't Take Nothing from My Journey Now, or something like that. Wouldn't take nothing from my journey now. I like that quote. I wouldn't take nothing from my journey now. And it's like, you go through seasons, man. Particularly if you're a Christian, if you believe in God, you go through seasons where you're like just suffering. There's suffering seasons. There's seasons of dryness, of all these pains that you go through. I mean, I've been through so much stuff in my life, from illness to environment problems to setbacks to bad relationships. You name it, I've been through it, man. I've been through everything. Trust me, everything. Um, been in all kinds of situations you wouldn't believe. Don't have time to sit here and name them all off, but just suffered and had heartbreaks, had letdowns, just, you know. But there's been shiny days. There's been peace. There's been this. There's been that, and there's times where I'm like, God, why am I single? Or why, I look at other people my age and they got money and they got families and I don't got those things. And it hurts. That hurts sometimes, that hurts. Because I'm like, God, didn't God love me enough to give me those things? And why did He give that to other people? And I thought He's supposed to love me. And that's a problem. That's a hard thing to deal with when you're questioning God's love for you. But at the same time, you got one life. You are who you are. You can't be somebody else. You can't sit there and be like, I wish I had this, or I wish I was that. You could, but it's a waste. You're just making yourself sad. It's good to be thankful. It's good to have gratitude. It's good to take your time. And what I mean by take your time is to enjoy the time that you have. Don't waste moments in pity for yourself or sorrow or regret for the past. And that's gonna be there in life. It just is what it is. You're gonna look back and be like, dang it, I made a mistake there. I wish I wouldn't have done that, or I wish this would have went better, or why did I have to meet this person who made my life miserable, or why did this have to happen? Or you're gonna do that because that's just part of growth. That's part of how we move on from things. It's part of how we deal with our personal pain and things like that. Um, but it's good to just live in the moment. However you can do that, it's good to just enjoy what you got. I enjoy chess. I like playing chess a lot. It makes me happy. I like going for walks. It makes me happy. Thinking about getting an electric skateboard so I can ride around my neighborhood, and maybe that'll work out. I don't know. It might be dangerous. I hope not, but that might make me happy. I got a nice park with a lake on it, not too far from me. I'll walk over there. There's parks with lakes all around here. I can go to any one of those. I got a car that works. I got good food. I got nice clothes now, pretty nice, and it's like I'm doing all right. I'm losing weight. I'm getting better shape. I've got a lot to be thankful for. You know what I mean? And you just deal with it, man. It is what it is. Life is tough. It's hard. I wish I had a family. I wish I had a wife, a beautiful wife, but I don't. I prayed for one, and God decided not to give me one. Okay. Decided to make me poor. Decided to give me these illnesses. He decided to make my home life a certain way all my life. He decided to, certain things that other people didn't have. Other people didn't have the environmental sufferings that I've had. But then I know a lot of people who aren't as smart as me. I know a lot of people who aren't as understanding as I am. I know a lot of people who aren't as wise as I am. I have a lot of wisdom. I can see through things. I can navigate things. I know how to talk to people. I know how to suffer, if that makes sense. I don't like doing it, but I know how to do it. Some people, they suffer, they can't handle suffering. Some people start suffering and they just go all to pieces. I'm built for it. I'm not saying I like it, but I've done it my whole life. I know what it is. I'm built for it. I can take it. A lot of people can't. A lot of people, couldn't live my life. A lot of people couldn't live through the things that I've lived through. I'm not saying I've thrived per se, but I've survived. I've survived many, many, many things. So, and I give credit to God, and I'm not. It's not that I'm proud of that. It's just a fact. I would have rather not have done it. It's not that I'm patting myself on the back, because I give credit to God. Without God, I wouldn't have made it through nothing. And suffering brings you closer to God. I believe that. I believe that. Because you cry out to Him. You cry out, God help me, And that's a good thing. It's good to be close to God. But, anyways, man, yeah, it brings you perspective. Brings you perspective, Some people, and that's not to say that, I've got a flesh. I can be judgmental. I can be, I don't know if I use the word hate, but I use the word critical. can be real critical and things like that. And I've got my faults, you know. It's not to say, oh, suffering, I'm now a saint because I've suffered all this. That's not what I'm saying necessarily, but I'm just saying it brings perspective. It's like, you know what? I know there's a lot of people who lack a heart. You know, they lack sympathy, or they lack empathy. They lack care and genuine love. And I think suffering created that in me. I think the life that I've lived gave me that. And getting closer to God gave me that. It allowed me to be, sometimes sometimes I'll cry. I'll turn on something and somebody got hurt, or, I'll watch a video or something and somebody got hurt or something bad happened. I'll just cry. Because I just think like, man, it's just so sad, certain things that happen to people. And it's not that I'm proud of that. It's that's real. That's what it means to be a real human being. Is you care about things. You care about people. You have love. You don't want to see anybody hurt. You don't want to. You don't. You have real, genuine. Um, humanity. You know. And I think that if I wasn't poor, I probably wouldn't have that to some degree. I wouldn't have that humanity to some degree. But we're all in this fight. Life is just it's a big honeypot of sin and temptation and distraction, and because that's what the world is. Because there's a devil out there, and that's what we're living in. And parts of me is like, you know what? I can't wait for this to be over. I can't wait for this world to be over. And I think I probably wouldn't feel that way if I had a great life. I probably wouldn't think that way. I'd probably be like, nah, man, I want my life to be, I want to keep living. Screw that, But part of me is like, man, I don't know. This ain't worth it. I'd rather it just end. I'm torn. I'm torn on that. I'm torn on those two things because it's like there's part of me that's like, yeah, I've been happy before. I remember what it was like to be happy. I've been successful before. I remember what it was like to be successful. I remember what it was like to be enjoying my life and to be, really, things going well for me. And I miss that. And then there's times where I've just suffered for years. There's times when I went through so much pain and I'm just like, oh, I don't want to live anymore. Maybe maybe a lot of people go through that in their life. Maybe that's life. Maybe that's just what it means to be a human. Maybe that's what it means to be a Christian too, to some degree. Maybe it's not black and white. Maybe there's a lot of gray area. People go through a lot of different things at a lot of different times. And anyway, there's periods of my life I wish I could go back to. There's periods of my life where I was happy and comfortable and enjoying life, and I wish I could go back to those times. And maybe I'll have some of those times again. I don't know. But the way things are going with the world, things like that, it's hard to say. It's hard to say what's going to happen. It's hard to say. But look at things on the bright side. Yeah, you're struggling, but you don't have to be unhappy. Maybe you're poor, but if you got internet access, you can watch anything. Cool videos, you can look at cool pictures. Okay, maybe you can't take a trip to France or whatever, but you can go on YouTube and people got videos of it. It's the next best thing, right? Maybe you can't afford this, but you can afford that. Maybe you can't do that, but you can do this. Maybe, so learn to maneuver, learn to become adept at living life and living it within your means, because you really can figure things out. You really can, if you try and if you use a little bit of ingenuity. Maybe you can't get that great thing that you wanted, but you can get this, or maybe you can focus on this other thing. And same for like relationships and friendships and things like that. Maybe you should befriend somebody who is, you haven't even thought about befriending. Maybe you should befriend somebody who you don't even really want to befriend. And it might turn out to be a great relationship. Maybe there's somebody that's in your vicinity or your area or your family or something that you just never even thought about really talking to that much, or and you start talking to them and you realize, oh, you know what, that's a good person. I have a good relationship with that person now because I've they were there and I didn't think about it. And it's not that I wanted to do it; it's that I just decided to. You know what? It's not that you know. Sometimes you don't want to be with a. Sometimes you want to be with like, oh, the hottest girl, but maybe this other girl over here she's not so hot, or she's not so whatever. But maybe she would make a good girlfriend. Maybe you'd have a good relationship with her. Maybe this person would make a good friend, or maybe anyway. But ultimately, everything you do, you should pray about it. Ultimately, I would say give everything to God and follow Him and figure out what He wants and things like that. Because I think that's going to be the best thing. Because He's not going to do you wrong. He's not going to steer you in the wrong direction. And sometimes when you're alone, He's protecting you. Sometimes when all your friends go away, that's God's way of saying you never really had good friends. Sometimes when all your friends go away, that's God's way of saying, you know what, I want you to be alone right now because it's better for you. It's healthier for you. I'm not gonna put a person in your life. I'm not gonna put somebody because it's better for you to be alone right now. I think that's probably true. Anyways, appreciate you listening. Jay Lee, Northwest Podcast. Peace.